Q Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section, actor visits nursery to help keep kids active. Report by Esther Tarnay. A still game actress visiting a Glasgow nursery to celebrate a new project getting children moving. Maureen Carr, who is known for playing Edith in the iconic TV series, was pictured at Happy Tots nursery in Royston. The actress was joined by actor and Equality and Diversity Manager for Sports Scotland, Atta Yakub, and Paul Sweeney MSP, as well as local firefighters and parents. Together they celebrated the relaunch of the Daily Mile, a programme dedicated to making sure kids move at least 15 minutes every day. Nursery manager Janice Johnson said, "It's simple, but it's a powerful message. Every child every day is out walking, jogging, moving at their own pace. It helps them establish lifelong habits from an early age. It improves their physical health, energy, fitness, boosts their mood and promotes emotional well-being. The project is used across the world to encourage youngsters to be more physically active and grow their confidence." Ms. Johnson added, "They absolutely love it. Some of them just want to run. The good thing is that you can do the Daily Mile regardless of your abilities or who you are. You don't need to buy equipment or anything, you just need the space to run a mile every day." The nursery also installed a defibrillator at the premises following a successful fundraising event. She explained, "We really wanted to have it in close proximity so that anybody can use it in case of an emergency. It was all local companies and people who donated towards it, and we raised just under £3,000. We wanted to have the tools in case somebody needs a bit of help. We're having a large number of workers in the building who are all different ages." Mr. Sweeney said, "It was tremendous to launch the Daily Mail programme at Happy Tots Nursery in Royston. With 1,395 schools and nurseries taking part in the Daily Mail programme across Scotland, it is helping to lower rates of childhood obesity. Positive experiences in early childhood play a crucial role in forming lifelong habits, which is why it's so important to help young children enjoy being active every day." That article was written by Esther Tarnay. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section, attack led to fractured wrist for pair of pals. Report by Connor Gordon. A thug who left a man and a woman with a fractured wrist after a brutal street attack avoided jail yesterday. Thomas Vodgen, 37, pounced on Alexander McDougall and Lauren Hilton in Glasgow's Woodside on September the 18th, 2022. Glasgow Sheriff Court heard that Miss Hilton, friend Mr. McDougall and others were walking home after a night out. The pals were approached by Vodgen of Rutherglen, Lanarkshire, who shouted and argued with them for no reason. Prosecutor Jackie Wall said, "Vodgen punched and kicked Miss Hilton in the body. Mr. McDougall pushed Vodgen away to create distance between them. Vodgen then tried to assault him. Mr. McDougall, believing he would be assaulted, punched Vodgen in the face, causing his nose to bleed. The pair then engaged in a struggle, which resulted in Mr. McDougall falling to the ground, which caused a fracture to his right wrist due to hitting the ground. Vodgen went on to push Miss Hilton, which caused her to fall on the ground and she felt pain in her left arm. Miss Wall added, Miss Hilton sustained a fracture to her right wrist which required the insertion of a plate in hospital. Vodgen pleaded guilty to an assault to Miss Hilton's severe injury and permanent disfigurement. He also admitted the assault to Mr. Dougal's severe injury. Sheriff Michael Hanlon ordered Vodgen to do 135 hours of unpaid work at yesterday's sentencing. He was also tagged for 7 weeks, keeping him indoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m, as well as being put under supervision for 12 months. The sheriff stated it was a direct alternative to custody. That article was written by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September, news. Irn-Bru gifts memento to Capaldi. The author of these articles is unattributed. Lewis Capaldi has been surprised with a special gift from Irn-Bru ahead of his Glasgow homecoming. The Scottish singer was sent a hand-engraved guitar plectrum by the soft drink brand ahead of his 2 sold-out shows at the Oval Hydro, where he is set to perform in front of almost 30,000 fans across 2 nights. Inscribed with Irn-Bru's iconic slogan, Made in Scotland from Girders, the plectrum celebrates Capaldi's first Glasgow performance after a 2-year break from music. Capaldi is the first person to be honoured by Irn-Bru since it revived the well-known phrase. Kenny Nicholson, brand director at Irn-Bru, said, Lewis Capaldi truly epitomises what it means to be made in Scotland from girders. It's fantastic to see him back in action, in front of a home crowd, and this plectrum has been created to mark this momentous occasion. We wish you the best. Road to be closed for 14 hours. A Glasgow road will be shut for 14 hours during peak times next week. Cathcart Road from Calder Street to Dixon Avenue will be closed on Monday from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. It comes due to a need to undertake essential road marking reinstatement works in the Govan Hill area. In addition to Allison Street at Belle Isle Street will be closed from 9:30 a.m. Drivers are being advised to seek alternative routes. However, diversions will be in place. The author of those articles was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Man left trail of leaves to £120,000 cannabis find. Report by Connor Gordon. A man who left a trail of leaves which led police officers to £120,000 cannabis farm has been jailed for 18 months. Doris Hysinakija, 27, was responsible for the cultivation found in Glasgow's Ridley on May the 12th last year. The Albanian national was also caught with a knife after he was spotted running from the property. Hysinakija pleaded guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to having a knife in a public place without a reasonable excuse or lawful authority. And I'm just going to read out that person's name. It's Hysenlikij. The first offender also admitted a separate charge of producing cannabis. The court heard that the police were in the scene for a separate matter. Officers smelled a strong stench of cannabis in the area. Prosecutor Heather Nasis said, there was a trail of leaves which resembled cannabis plants which took officers to the rear of Hysenlikij's property. Hysenlikij ran off and the police officers pursued him. He was apprehended and found to have a black-handled lockback knife in his pocket. The flat was then searched and found to contain a cannabis cultivation which included 201 mature plants. Ms. Naismith said, the total value of the plants recovered ranged between £40,200 and £120,600. Hysenlikij was then taken into a police station before he appeared from custody the next day, where he remains on remand. Report by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Petition launched after teen died in river. This article is unattributed. A petition has been launched after a teenager tragically died in a Glasgow river. Emilius Vanagas, 15, is reported to have gotten into difficulty after entering the River Kelvin near Maryhill Road at around 6:40pm on Saturday, July the 12th. A large-scale search operation was launched involving multiple emergency services. However, at around 11:30pm the same day, police confirmed the body of a man was recovered from the water. Police Scotland stated that the death was not being treated as suspicious. Now, Emil's family are appealing to Maryhill Community Council to enhance safety in the area. Launching the petition on change.org, Diva Stankiewicz, Emil's mum, said, "My heart breaks as I write these words, but I am driven by the hope that sharing my story might prevent further tragedies. On a fateful day, July the 12th, 2025, I lost my beloved son, only 15 years old, in the churning waters of the Kelvin River, Glasgow, near the area locally known as Slushy. This name, though whimsical, belies the danger lurking beneath. The swirling currents and turbulent waters turned a popular fishing and walking spot into a scene of unimaginable grief. Slushy, near Kelvindale Road and the Kelvin Walkway in the Maryhill area, is a destination cherished by many. It's frequented by joggers, cyclists, dog walkers and families who come to enjoy the serene surroundings. However, beneath its calm facade lies a perilous hazard that has proven fatal. My son's life was claimed by the river's unpredictable currents, which could endanger others if swift measures are not taken." Diva went on to propose the installation of warning signs, barriers and safety equipment such as lifebuoys around the dangerous sections of the river. She also said an awareness campaign around water safety in Glasgow, particularly in schools and community centres, is crucial to educate our children, parents and everyone who cherishes our natural surroundings. View the petition at www.change.org/p/enhance-safety-river-s-slushy-spot. The author of that article is unattributed. It was read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Royal honour for pupil as she plays bagpipes. Report by Beth Oliver. A secondary school pupil had the honour of playing the bagpipes for royalty at a special event. Caitlin McCurdy, from Johnson High School, performed in front of Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal at the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh. The event marked the 25th anniversary of Columba 1400, a Scottish charity supporting young people through leadership academies. Caitlin said, "It was an honour to perform in front of Her Royal Highness Princess Royal and patron of Columbia 1400. Their leadership academy has helped me develop the confidence and leadership skills that I want to use to make my community better." She was joined by Aaron, a former Griff High pupil, who accompanied her on the snare drum. Caitlin is a graduate of Columbia 1400's Young People's Leadership Academy. Since completing the programme, she has worked with others to drive positive change in the Johnson community. Councillor Emma Rodden, convener of Renfrewshire Council's Education and Children's Services Policy Board, said, "Caitlin has done her school, her community and herself proud. Getting to perform at this special celebration is an amazing opportunity. Ensuring our young people have opportunities that empower and support them to grow and make positive changes to the world around them is hugely important. I am proud of Caitlin's ambitions and the leadership skills she's developed as part of this programme." Columba 1400 partners with schools, councils and community groups to deliver values-based leadership academies for young people. The programme aims to help young people build confidence and lead lives of purpose, meaning and contribution. That article was written by Beth Oliver and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Student Union and Recruitment Event. This article is unattributed. Strathclyde Students' Union is hosting a lush recruitment event during this year's Freshers' Week. The Union will host the event at 51 Richmond Street on September the 18th from 10 AM to 4 PM. Lush Glasgow City will give students a chance to experience a day on the lively shop floor. From 11 AM to 2 PM, students can try product demonstrations, bath bomb making and more. They will also have the chance to apply for positions as seasonal sales assistants. There is no need to bring a CV, as applications will be handled at the end of the session. The recruitment event is open to students from any university or college in Glasgow. There will be a pop-up stall showcasing products available to buy from the flagship store at 98 Buchanan Street. Freshers' Week will run from September 13th to 19th, promising an array of exciting activities. The programme includes an interactive pop-up from Glasgow Science Centre and free samples from Kyle's. Participants also stand a chance to win a £1,000 prize giveaway and enjoy the Summer I Turned Pretty finale watch party. The Union's Instagram account, currently at 19.1 thousand followers, will cover highlights from all events. Strathclyde Union will also host a series of nighttime events, for which Strathclyde students can sign up to 4 people, including students from other Glasgow universities or colleges, and non-students. All guests must be 18 or over. Students aged 18 or over from other universities or colleges can also attend events and can sign one guest aged 18 or over into the building. That article was unattributed. It was read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Teachers given training on online hate. This article is unattributed. Glasgow's teaching staff are being trained in online hate and misinformation to help young people challenge harmful ideologies on the internet. It comes after a motion presented by Council Leader Susan Aitken in June called for more detail on what is being done to tackle youth violence in the wake of the tragic deaths of Corey McCrimmon, Eamon Takely and Caden Moy. Councillor Aitken said there was deep concern about recent incidents of violence involving young people in Glasgow and that it was enormously worrying for Glasgow communities. She also said the deaths showed there was a growing problem with youth violence in Scotland and that the loss of young lives should be something that is never taken for granted. During Thursday's full council meeting, questions were asked by Baillie Eva Murray on what action had been taken before the motion passed before summer recess on violence affecting young people. Convener for Education and Early Years Christina Cannon confirmed that since the motion was passed, the Council has taken swift and focused action across Glasgow schools in tackling discrimination and making sure safeguarding children is a top priority. Councillor Cannon explained, "We're working hard to ensure that staff are equipped to respond confidently and effectively. We've delivered targeted professional learning to include training on the Digital Disclosure Initiative, which helps the educators challenge harmful ideologies spread online. This work is vital in helping young people recognise and resist online hate and misinformation. Our partnership with Police Scotland also strengthened a new strategic oversight group, now supporting the work of school engagement officers who are based in most secondary schools. Council officers have been working closely with pastoral care teams to address issues like knife crime, substance misuse and antisocial behaviour. The aim is to help divert young people from entering the criminal justice system." Councillor Cannon added, "We continue to deliver impactful programmes such as the Sector for Sectarianism, which promotes tolerance and challenges in upper primary school, and the Mentors in Violence Prevention programme is in 21 secondary schools." This initiative empowers senior pupils to lead peer-to-peer discussions on gender-based violence, consent and healthy relationships. Looking ahead, we are planning to pilot the Mentors in Violence Prevention programme for primary schools to ensure early intervention and positive messaging from a younger age. Our social inclusion officers are working with schools to support delivery and embed those approaches into everyday learning. That article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of September 2025, from the news section. Touching tributes left for man, 52, who died. Report by Ava White. Flowers have been placed on a street in Glasgow city centre where a man died earlier this week. The man, who has not been named, passed away on Cambridge Street following reports that a group of people had taken unwell in the area shortly after 8 p.m. on Monday. Now bouquets have been left on the street to pay tribute to the 52-year-old. The flowers were tied to a stairwell next to the farm food store. Staff at the supermarket were amongst those who left touching tributes. Cambridge Street was cordoned off by police at Cowcaddens, following reports of the incident on Monday night. It is understood that the incident has been treated as drugs related by officers. The man was pronounced dead at the scene and his next of kin is aware. Meanwhile, a 37-year-old man was rushed to hospital, where he was said to be in a stable condition. A 38-year-old woman and a 52-year-old man were also treated by paramedics at the scene. Cambridge Street was temporarily closed, but reopened to traffic at around 9:30 p.m. on Monday. However, part of the street remained closed until early on Tuesday while investigations took place. Images captured by the Glasgow Times showed CID officers carrying what appeared to be evidence bags while photographing the scene. Their investigation appeared to be focused on the stairway next to the farm food store. The area has since fully reopened. Cops say there are not believed to be any suspicious circumstances. Elsewhere, concerns were raised over a group of extremely potent synthetic opioids that have been widely detected across Scotland. In August, a Rapid Action Drugs Alert and Response (RADAR) alert was issued for nitazines, a category of new synthetic opioids that can be hundreds of times more potent than heroin. This was issued by RADAR, led by Public Health Scotland. According to Public Health Scotland, nitazines are Class A drugs and are often missold as other drugs, including oxycodone, heroin, and benzodiazepines. They are the most commonly detected new synthetic opioids in Scotland and have been found in both street drugs and fake medicines, sometimes in packaging that looks like genuine pharmaceutical products. Public Health Scotland noted that they have been detected in paper, powder and tablet form. In Scotland, they are most commonly found as a contaminant in heroin. However, due to the limited testing of drugs in circulation across the country, Public Health Scotland states that the presence of nitazines is likely underreported and there is a significant risk they may appear in the wider drug supply. Last November, the drug was discovered in the Greater Glasgow area. The substances were found in fake medications sold as diazepam, a Class C drug used to treat anxiety, muscle spasms and seizures. Anne-Marie Ward, CEO of Faces and Voices of Recovery, explained that she believes testing drugs is not the solution. She said, "Unfortunately, these nitazene compounds change with every batch. Every batch that is created is different to the previous ones. They're not exactly being made under laboratory conditions. Drug checking services won't stop overdoses and death from happening. People with addictions are not going to give up any of their drugs to get them tested. The only way to prevent deaths is to help people get freedom from their addictions. We cannot reduce harm when these drugs are over 100 times stronger than heroin. No amount of drug checking services or consumption rooms is going to sort this." It comes after there were more than 600 suspected drug deaths in the first 6 months of 2025. Figures published by the Scottish Government revealed that there were 607 suspected drug deaths between January and June this year. This was a 3% rise compared to the same period last year. That article was written by Ava White.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025, from the Lifestyle section. Historic Glasgow pub pays tribute to legendary cleaner, and this article was written by Donald Erskine. A historic pub has paid a heartbreaking tribute to their cleaner, who was the spirit of a true Glasgow woman. The Clutha Bar in the city centre has shared the devastating news that their cleaner Cathy has sadly passed away. The pub described her as a legend through and through and revealed the Gran had sadly died after a battle with lung cancer. They said that she'll be dearly missed and they'll remember her with laughter, warmth and gratitude for the time we shared. Taking to social media to share the tragic news, the pub said, "Our beloved Cathy." Many knew Cathy as Cathy the cleaner from the Clutha, a woman with the heart of gold, the sharpest sarcastic banter and the spirit of a true Glasgow woman. Cathy had a way of lighting up every room, whether it was her cheeky humour, her quick wit that could leave you howling, or that unforgettable moment when she kissed King Charles, a story she loved to share. She made everyone feel at home, and the Clutha will always carry her spirit. After a brave battle with lung cancer, Cathy passed away peacefully, surrounded by love. She leaves behind her loving daughters, Michelle and Amanda, and her adored grandkids, Joshua, Alexander and Macy, her pride and joy. Though we'll miss her dearly, we'll remember her with laughter, warmth and gratitude for the time we shared. Here's to you, Cathy, a legend through and through. The Clutha building dates to before the Battle of Waterloo, when Glasgow businessman Matthew Park built a tenement on the land. The premises was granted a licence in 1819 and adopted many names over the years: the Popinjay, McLaughlin's, Wee Man's and the Merchant. The name we all know today derives from the ancient name for Clyde, and owner Brendan McLaughlin reintroduced the original name in 1990, while the tenements on top of the pub were removed in the 1960s. Like many pubs in Glasgow, the Clutha's character became as permanent as the walls, and it garnered a reputation as a social hub frequented by fishermen at the nearby Brigget, lawyers and judges from the nearby courts, and artists, musicians and poets. In particular, the Clutha became a hotspot for Glasgow's burgeoning folk music scene in the 1960s. Sir Billy Connolly and Jerry Rafferty regularly performed as the Humble Bums at the pub in their early days. And that article was by Donald Erskine. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025, from the Lifestyle section. Singer wrote songs with Gracie Abrams to play Glasgow show, and this article was written by Donald Erskine. A rising star singer who's previously co-wrote songs with Gracie Abrams has announced a huge Glasgow show. The American artist helped huge star Gracie pen her hit song That's So True and others, which catapulted her to stardom. Now Audrey Hobart is playing her first string of huge headline shows after the release of her debut album. She'll be playing Glasgow's SWG3 next March the 17th, 2026. Announcing the show, Gigs in Scotland said, in the wake of her critically acclaimed debut album, Who's the Clown?, Audrey Hobart is set to play her first ever headline tour with dates across North America and Europe through March 2026. Fans have eagerly anticipated a tour from Audrey after her instantly sold-out debut shows in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago and London. This past weekend, she performed at the reopening of New York City's Cherry Lane Theatre in the opening week company of Spike Lee, Sofia Coppola and Brandi Carlile, among others. A lifelong singer, musical theatre devotee and dancer, Audrey got her first taste of songwriting when childhood best friend and then roommate Gracie Abrams pulled Audrey into the making of her album The Secret of Us. Together, they wrote some of Gracie's standouts like I Love You, I'm Sorry and Risk, for which Audrey directed the music videos, as well as current global hit That's So True. Following that project, she signed a publishing deal which put on pause her plans to pursue TV writing. As she began writing, she realised the music was undeniably her own, and the project was born, then brought to life with production partner Ricky Gourmet. Released in August on RCA Records to widespread critical acclaim, Who's the Clown represents Audrey's exploration of her own creative vision, as it is the first collection of songs that she ever wrote for herself. Audrey is a one-woman show, fully realising all aspects of her music, from start to finish, writing songs, singing, directing and editing music videos. Tickets are on sale to the general public on Friday, September the 19th at 10 a.m, with artist pre-sale beginning tomorrow, September the 17th at 10 a.m, and promoter and Spotify pre-sales on September the 18th at 10 a.m. And that article was by Donald Erskine. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 16th of September 2025. From the news section. Construction on new £31.5 million primary school near Glasgow begins. And this article was written by Sanja Suresh. Construction on a new Bishopbriggs primary school and early years centre costing £31.5 million has begun. The new Balmooldy Primary School and Early Years Centre will be a modern educational facility built on the site of the existing school in Stirling Drive, according to East Dunbartonshire Council. It will be a 2-storey building featuring an early years centre for 60 children and a school with space for more than 460 pupils. It will also have bright, airy classrooms and outdoor terracing on the first floor. It is expected to open in spring 2027. The current school building will be demolished and a custom-built early years playground, an all-weather multi-use games area, sports pitch, cycle shelters and hard and soft landscaping will be built in its place. Councillor Gordon Lowe, leader of East Dunbartonshire Council, said, "The Council is committed to providing high-quality education in East Dunbartonshire, and this new school and early years centre promises to enhance the learning experiences of local children by providing an inspiring, flexible and fit-for-purpose educational environment that meets the needs of today's young learners." During the summer holidays, enabling works were carried out to allow a tandem build to progress on site, and I am pleased to see construction work begin now at the very start of this new academic year. One of the benefits of a tandem build is the pupils can see the daily progress and watch as the foundations are built right through to completion. Like the children, I am very much looking forward to seeing the new state-of-the-art school and early years centre take shape in the coming months. Stuart Parker, Managing Director of Morgan Sindall Construction Scotland, said, "We are proud to continue our successful partnership with Hub West Scotland and East Dunbartonshire Council on the rebuild of Balmooldy Primary School in Bishopbriggs. The new 2-storey school will provide modern, flexible learning environments for over 460 pupils, with bright, airy spaces where children can thrive and learn. It's a facility that will serve the local community for generations to come. Ian Marley, Chief Executive Officer of Hub West Scotland, said, "We're thrilled to be underway with the construction phase of the new Balmooldy Primary School and Early Years Centre in partnership with East Dunbartonshire Council. This investment will give children, families and staff an inspiring, sustainable and adaptable place to learn, grow and thrive for many years to come." And that article was written by Sanja Suresh. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 16th of September 2025, from the news section. Glasgow City Council left with £230,000 repair bill, and this article was written by Amanda Keenan. Council bosses are having to fork out £230,000 to repair a leased building it used to host criminals carrying out court-imposed orders in Glasgow's East End. The cash-strapped local authority walked away from an agreement with a private landlord to use a site in Bowden Street earlier this year, sparking fury among service bosses who labelled the decision completely shambolic. The facility, which allowed people to carry out light duties as an alternative to prison, was previously hailed by ministers as the ideal template for similar community justice initiatives all around Scotland. Data shared by GMB exclusively with the Glasgow Times reveals that the local authority has now agreed to pay the landlord £230,000 to restore the building to its original state. The figures also claim that since May the 1st to August the 14th, 2,555 hours of light duties have lapsed as a result of letting the centre shut its doors. Glasgow City Council has a legal obligation to hand back the building in the same pristine condition as when it moved the project in during 2015. Ross MacArthur, a senior GMB Scotland rep, is now urging council bosses to work towards reopening the centre rather than fork out the eye-watering dilapidation charge. He said, "The council should have worked to extend the lease with the landlord, and they had plenty of notice to do so. However, they chose to walk away without any proper contingency plans in place, and this is the result of that. It was a rushed decision that blindsided staff and left those needing to complete community payback orders in limbo. Now 5 months on, we are no further forward to finding a proper solution, and the council is having to stump up almost £230,000 to fix the building up. It was a model project that won widespread praise. The council should never have allowed the lease to lapse in the first place. The way this has been handled has been reckless and totally shambolic." Mr. MacArthur says the saga has also had consequences for those who use the centre. He added, "It makes it difficult for court-imposed orders to be carried out locally, and that is a slap in the face to the victims of crime and the people trying to pay their debt to society by completing them. We previously told how landlords said when the lease ended on May the 5th, they found the building filled with equipment with floors and walls damaged. They also described how machinery had been bolted to floors and the whole premises needed a deep clean. A spokesperson for the landlord said, "We want to make it clear that we did not terminate the lease. The council was a good tenant for the last 10 years they were in the building, and we would have been happy to have them here for longer." Mr. MacArthur said, "How can it make sense to hand over £230,000 to restore this site when they could just do a deal and open it up again. All of our machinery is still in there. It would be a case of plugging in and getting going again, simple as that. Council bosses said they had no hours had been lost on community payback orders as a result of the decision to leave. A spokeswoman for Glasgow City Health and Social Care Partnership said, "Contingency arrangements were put in place prior to the closure of Bowden Street to facilitate placements for the affected service users. We don't lose the hours, and it would not be correct to say that hours are lost. There may be a delay while alternative placements are confirmed. However, no hours are lost." And that article was by Amanda Keenan. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025, from the news section. MPs want Glasgow drug room to allow people to smoke cocaine. And this article was written by Stuart Patterson. Glasgow's drug consumption room should be extended to allow people to smoke cocaine, a committee of MPs has said. The Thistle in the east end of the city opened in January this year, where people can inject under supervision with trained staff on hand in case of overdose. The centre is a 3-year pilot set up in response to Glasgow's shocking drug death rate and outbreaks of dangerous infections from needle sharing. The Scottish Affairs Committee at Westminster held an inquiry into the Thistle. The MPs said they heard evidence of drug-taking patterns changing, with a shift from injecting to inhalation taking place. The report concludes, drug trends in Scotland have changed and are changing. For the Thistle to be effective, it must be able to meet the needs of the population it is trying to help, which it cannot do without an inhalation room, as well as making the facility accessible for those who inhale drugs, encouraging visitors to change their method of consuming drugs from injecting to inhaling can be an important harm reduction step. Legal barriers currently prevent an inhalation room operating at the Thistle. Other recommendations include a warning to the UK government not to prejudice the effectiveness of the centre until the trial has concluded and expert evaluation has taken place. The report states, if the independent evaluation of the Thistle deems the pilot a success and the Scottish Government proceeds to make the Thistle permanent and perhaps to open further SDCFs, the UK Government should work with the Scottish Government to make the necessary changes to reserved legislation to ensure there is a full, sustainable legal framework for safer drug consumption facilities in Scotland. Last week, the latest drug death statistics revealed Glasgow had 185 drug deaths, Scotland had 1,017 drug deaths. There has been debate around the effectiveness of consumption rooms and calls for more resources to be directed to efforts to help people become drug-free. The committee report said it has to be part of a wider package of measures and its funding must not be at the expense of other services like rehab. It stated, SDCFs must not come at the cost of funding current recovery services. It is not an either-or. Rather, SDCFs are just one tool available to combat problem drug use, which is complementary to and works in tandem with recovery services. Patricia Ferguson, Glasgow West MP and Chair of the Scottish Affairs Committee, said, Scotland has the highest rate of drug-related deaths in Europe. Without a doubt, this is the most pressing public health issue facing the nation, and things need to change urgently to stop more people dying. The Thistle could be one way of helping Scotland do this. If the facility, after its 3-year pilot, is shown to be effective at tackling drug-related harm, we're urging the UK Government to follow the evidence and take the legislative action needed to create a proper legal framework that will ensure it can run and be regulated properly. However, we also recognise that the Thistle is not a silver bullet. Our report emphasises that this pilot shouldn't come at the cost of other recovery services. Rather, they should operate in tandem to offer as much help as possible to people with problem drug use. A spokesperson for Glasgow's Health and Social Care Partnership said, "We thank the SAC for their interest and report. We'll take time to review this and consider any actions and recommendations that apply to our services. We welcome the SAC support for further developments within the Thistle, including a smoking/inhalation room." And that article was written by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 16th of September 2025, from the news section. Wishaw superbike rider fighting in coma after crash, and this article was written by Donald Erskine. A young British superbike rider from Wishaw is fighting an infection in a coma 10 days after a serious crash which saw him rushed to hospital. Callum Grigor, 26, crashed on the opening lap of the Pirelli National Superstock Championship race at Donington Park on Saturday, September the 6th, 2025. His family have shared an update on his condition and given their thanks to a fundraiser that has been launched to help them. Another rider, Nathan Harrison, also fell in the race incident and was treated at the medical centre for an isolated limb injury. Sharing the update on Callum's Facebook page, the family said, "Team Grigor would like to thank everyone for their continued love and support during the last week. We are absolutely blown away and humbled with the generosity of others wanting to help at this difficult time. We can't believe the GoFundMe total. Thank you so much for giving us one less thing to worry about so that we can concentrate on being here for Callum. Medically, he is still in his induced coma and fighting a developing chest infection after the initial damage to his lungs and chest. We will know more regarding his other injuries once they are able to move him for a detailed scan of his head and neck. The expert care he is receiving from Queen's Medical Centre, Nottingham, is second to none. We cannot express how grateful we are to all the staff involved in his care and to the wider staff looking after us. We have been told that this will be a marathon, not a sprint, and that there will be many ups and downs. He is very poorly and his recovery will be lengthy. We know his love of endurance racing, so we keep cheering him on from his bedside, +2 laps and push on his pit board. Come on, Callum G. We would also like to wish Nathan Harrison a speedy recovery. You are very much in our thoughts at this time. We will share more updates when we can. The fundraiser was set up by Leo Rollo, who said, "Please can you help the Grigor family at this difficult time? They are dealing with lots just now as Callum is in ICU in Nottingham, far away from their home in Scotland and family and friends, and they don't have a time scale of how long they will have to be by his side. This funding would also help with day-to-day costs with accommodation, food and transport back and fro as family are having to take time off work and still have bills to pay. I know this is the last thing on their minds at this difficult time, but any donations would help ease another pressure from their thoughts under the circumstances. So if the Race families, friends and supporters can help, this would be appreciated, please. And you can read more about the fundraiser and date and donate on GoFundMe. And this article was by Donald Erskine.
Evening Times, September 16. Opinion. Annie Wells says, "It's utterly depressing to see how far Scottish education has fallen." It is not uncommon for parents to raise concerns about what goes on at their child's school. It would be wrong for any politician to claim that fears over education standards or playground disorder are a new thing. Indeed, I remember having some of these concerns myself when my son was at school. But when parents start voting with their feet, we have got a problem. In the last school year, the number of children in Glasgow being homeschooled rocketed from 88 to 258. It is part of a nationwide increase, although the city's almost 200% increase eclipses every other local authority area by some distance. Of course, there has always been homeschooling, and families have every right to choose it. For some children, it is clearly the best option for them from an educational and social perspective. However, my fear is this stark increase speaks to something totally different. While parents have always listed their child's schooling among their foremost anxieties, it is clear the nature and frequency of these concerns are changing. I routinely hear from Glaswegians who are desperately concerned about the safety of their child. They are well aware that violence and disruption are increasing in class, and that teachers seem more powerless than ever to do anything about it. Too many violent kids are in unsuitable environments, and the knock-on effect for young people is severe. From being the victim of violence, fearful of being attacked, or simply unable to concentrate because of the chaos going on around them. Teachers are frightened too, and some are leaving the profession because of it, not to mention those put off applying for a career in the first place. Additionally, after nearly 20 years of SNP power from Edinburgh, standards have totally slumped. Nationalist ministers do not even want Scotland to be part of the international league tables, because they know fine well how badly the country should show up. Literacy, numeracy, languages, music and sciences are suffering badly. And what was meant to be former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon's defining legacy, the closing of the attainment gap between deprived children and their wealthiest peers, has never looked less likely to happen. There is also an acute crisis in additional support needs. So many families do not think mainstream schooling is right for their child, but because of government policy, they have no option but to send their child through the gates of their local school and hope for the best. With all that in mind, can we really be surprised that more parents are opting to take matters into their own hands? For some parents, homeschool is an ideal which they would have pursued under any circumstances. But now it seems for dozens of other families in Glasgow, it is a less bad scenario into which they feel they have been forced. That should be a wake-up call for a Scottish government, which once claimed education was its top priority. but has never done anything to prove that to be the case. Scottish education used to be the envy of the world. It is utterly depressing to see how far it has fallen, says Annie Wells.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of September 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Human remains in Loch Lomond identified as Glasgow man. This article is by a Glasgow Times reporter. Human remains in Loch Lomond have been identified as belonging to a missing Rangers fan from Glasgow. Detectives are hunting for information following the discovery of human remains on the shore of Loch Lomond. Officers were called to Rub-a-Dub near Fucking Point after a member of the public made the discovery. The remains have since been identified as being belonging to 38-year-old Graham Wright, who had previously been reported missing from Glasgow. Currently, the death is being treated as unexplained. His family has been informed, and they are being supported by specially trained officers. We reported how Graham was reported missing on Monday, August 25th, after last being seen around 12 p.m. on Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, on Cumberland Street. He may also have been in the same area on Friday, September 9th, around 9:30 a.m. Detectives and local officers are being supported by specialist resources, including the Dog Unit, Air Support Unit, as well as the Dive and Marine Unit, as our investigation continues. Extensive inquiries are ongoing, and officers are appealing for anyone with any information to come forward. Detective Superintendent Peter Sharp said, Our thoughts are with Graham's family and friends at this extremely difficult time, and they're being supported by specialist officers. It's vital we get answers for them, and extensive inquiries are ongoing to establish how his remains came to be on the shore of Loch Lomond. A dedicated team of officers are carrying out investigations, including door-to-door inquiries, and examining all CCTV footage in the area. The area can be busy with visitors and dog walkers, and I would urge anyone who is staying in the area to come forward, as any piece of information, no matter how small or insignificant you think it is, could prove vital. Please think back. Do you remember seeing anything out of the ordinary whilst in the area? I'm also keen to hear from anyone who was driving in the area, specifically on the A82 between Monday, September 1st, 2025 and Saturday, September 13th, 2025, as you may have dashcam footage that would help our investigation. We are also appealing for information for anyone who's on board a boat or any other vessel, or anyone who may have been using the water near Fucking Point for any purpose around this time. If you have information or CCTV, or could help with our investigation, please come forward. A significant amount of resources has been dedicated to this investigation, and searches of the area will continue. Please be reassured we are doing everything we can to get answers, and there will be a large police presence as these inquiries continue. Superintendent Mark Stirling said, I would like to extend my sympathies to Graham's family and friends as they try to come to terms with their loss. We understand the significant impact this will have on the local community, and I would like to thank everyone for their help so far. We will have additional patrols in the area to offer reassurance. This includes uniformed and plainclothes officers from the local division, as well as national resources. If anyone has any concerns or information, please speak to officers. A Police Scotland spokesperson added, anyone with information can contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 1400 of Saturday, September 13th, 2025. This article was by a Glasgow Times reporter. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of September 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Police issue statement ahead of Glasgow far-right rally. This article is by Donald Erskine. Police Scotland has issued a statement ahead of a far-right backed rally this weekend. Podcaster John Watt has organised a unity rally for Glasgow's Buchanan Street steps this Saturday, September 20th, while anti-racism groups have called on Glaswegians to join a counter-protest on Saturday and elsewhere during the weekend. Cops have now said they have a plan in place to ensure safety around the event. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, we are aware of a planned protest due to take place on Buchanan Street in Glasgow on Saturday, 20th of September 2025. A proportionate policing plan is in place to ensure public safety and minimise disruption. It comes after we reported that an anti-racism campaign group called on people to oppose the protest in Glasgow this weekend. Watt, who was found guilty of abusing two of his ex-partners in 2018, runs a podcast called Bring the Noise, in which he campaigns against immigration, often raising fears of women's and girls' safety. He is calling for people to join the Unity rally in Glasgow on Saturday, adding, "Bring the noise, many issues, one problem. It's time for Scotland to unite and be heard." Elsewhere, groups are also calling for a rally to turn out in Falkirk on Sunday, again to protest the use of the town's Clarick Hotel to house asylum seekers. Stand Up to Racism has issued a call for people to turn out to oppose both of the planned demonstrations. The campaign group said, "Saturday saw the largest fascist-led demonstration in British history. It should be a wake-up call. This weekend, we take the streets back. On Saturday, oppose the far-right Unity rally in Glasgow. On Sunday, let's all support refugees and local anti-racists in Falkirk." On Saturday, September 13th, a Tommy Robinson organised rally in London saw an estimated 110,000 people march. It comes after previous protests and counter-protests in the city centre, with the most recent one in July seeing an estimated 500 people join the Stand Up to Racism cause. This article was by Donald Erskine. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of September 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Prime suspect in Madeleine McCann disappearance released from prison." This article was by Morgan Carmichael. The prime suspect in Madeleine McCann's disappearance has just been released from prison in Germany. German national Christian Bruckner had been serving a 7-year prison sentence for the rape of an elderly woman at her home in Praia da Luz in 2005. Bruckner left the high-security prison in Saint, near Hanover, just after 9:15 a.m. German time, 8:15 a.m. BST, on Wednesday morning, German police said. According to German media, he will have to wear an electronic tag, report to probation staff, and give up his passport. A court hearing is also listed for October 27 in Oldenburg, in northwest Germany, to deal with a case in which he is accused of insulting a prison employee. Meanwhile, the 49-year-old remains a suspect with Portuguese and German authorities who are probing Madeleine's disappearance. Madeleine was 3 years old when she vanished in the Portuguese resort Praia da Luz in 2007. She was left sleeping by her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, the latter of which hails from Glasgow. The pair left Madeleine with her younger twin siblings to go for dinner at a nearby restaurant. Earlier this week, the Metropolitan Police said it had sent an international letter of request to Bruckner for him to speak with them upon his release, which he later rejected. He has previously denied any involvement in Madeleine's disappearance. A number of searches have been carried out by German, Portuguese and the British authorities since Madeleine's disappearance, with the latest taking place near the Portuguese municipality of Lagos in June. In 2023, investigators carried out searches near the Barajim Duarade Reservoir, about 30 miles from Praia da Luz. Bruckner spent time in the area between 2000 and 2017 and had photographs and videos of himself near the reservoir. The total funding given to the Met's investigation, titled Operation Grange, has been more than £13.2 million since 2011, after a further £108,000 was secured from the government in April. This article was by Morgan Carmichael. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of September 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "ScotRail disruption update after car hits Glasgow Bridge." This article was by Donald Erskine. ScotRail has provided an update after major disruption this morning when a car hit a railway bridge in the East End. All train services through Carntyne Station were stopped this morning, September 17th, after a car hit a bridge in the area around 7:33 a.m. Network Rail Scotland crews rushed to the scene to assess the damage to the bridge. Meanwhile, all trains were halted. A Network Rail spokesperson said, "Our team have closed the line here until our engineers are able to inspect the structure for any damage. We'll share another update soon." Services between Glasgow and Edinburgh via Falkirk High/Shotts and between Glasgow Queen Street and Falkirk Grahamston, as well as those between Helensburgh, Mulgai and Edinburgh and Balloch, Deirdre, were all affected. Replacement bus services were put in place to try and alleviate some of the disruption to morning commuters. Network Rail teams were on site around 8:11am and confirmed that the bridge was safe, reopening the train line at around 8:15am. Announcing the good news on social media, they said, "Good news from Carntine. The bridge has been inspected and we've reopened the railway. We'll work to get ScotRail services moving and restore the normal timetable ASAP. Thanks for your patience if you're on or waiting for a service delayed by the assistant." And now, ScotRail has provided an update for commuters on the situation. A ScotRail spokesperson said, "Following a road vehicle colliding with a bridge earlier today at Carntine, all lines have now reopened. We can now run services as scheduled. However, disruption to services will be ongoing until our staff and trains are back in position. Travellers are reminded to check the ScotRail app for updates and alternative travel." This article was by Donald Erskine. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of September 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "3 Motherwell men snared with £120,000 cannabis grow." This article was by Donald Erskine. 3 men have been snared with a huge cannabis grow worth a whopping £120,000. The trio were busted by serious organised crime teams at Talisman Crescent on September 6, 2024. Huan Kong Wong, 51, Nguyen Tien Dung, 39, and Van Tuo Nguyen, 30, have now been found guilty at Hamilton Sheriff Court on Friday last week, September 12th. A Police Scotland spokesperson said Huan Kong Wong, 51, Nguyen Tien Dung, 39, and Van Tuo Nguyen, 30, were found guilty at Hamilton Sheriff Court on Friday, 12th of September 2025. A cannabis cultivation worth £120,000 was discovered at Talisman Crescent on Friday, 6th of September 2024. Inspector Jim McCluskey said, "Cannabis cultivations can be linked to organised crime, violence and exploitation. We hope this outcome reassures the public that we will continue to pursue those who profit from drugs at the expense of our communities. It highlights our continued commitment to the Serious Organised Crime Task Force and the country's serious and organised crime strategy. Information from the public is absolutely vital to our work, and we will continue to urge people to look out for the usual signs of cannabis cultivations and report any concerns to us. Anyone with information about drugs activity in their area can contact Police Scotland on 101 or Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. This article was by Donald Erskine.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.